Dead Space 2 is a 2011 survival horror video game developed by Visceral Games and published by Electronic Arts for PC, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. It was a sequel to the original 2008 Dead Space game, to a mobile game no longer sold anywhere, an action puzzle game not available for the PC Master Race, and to an adult animated psychological science fiction horror film. Well, since the sequel takes place 2 years after the first game, it wouldn't be that far-reaching that a lot happened during those 2 years, or 3 real-world years, but wow, EA! You decided to gamble it all on black, and then were surprised when this game alone didn't get you back all the money you put into all those tie-ins. No wonder Dead Space 3 ended up the way it did under a completely different development team, as if it was done by an EA setup committee. So what was I talking about? Yeah, during the events leading up to Dead Space 2, our middle-aged protagonist Isaac Clarke was found drifting in that shuttle he escaped from Aegis 7, that planet Ishimura had cracked open, and put into a mental hospital on the Titan station rotating in Saturn's largest moon. In between his sessions, Isaac is kept in stasis, which works pretty much like a suspended animation, meaning that when he is pulled out of it in the beginning of the story campaign, he knows as much about the current events of his world as the players who didn't play or watch those spin-offs. This game was also where Isaac was given a voice actor in Gunnar Wright, because there were a lot of new situations where Isaac was needed to react and respond verbally to certain events, and interactions where being silent would have been awkward. Unfortunately, where Isaac was given a voice, his dead girlfriend Nicole was recast with a different actor, whose likeness was also incorporated to the character's likeness, and it was not an improvement. Or it could have been, as we were going from one gorgeous woman to another, but the transition from an Iari Limon to Tanya Clarke brings too many immersion-breaking differences between the two, at least to me. And it's not the fact that the new Nicole looks significantly older than the original Nicole, but that they got her hair done wrong by splitting it on the wrong side. Okay, and now we can move on to that recap. The game begins with our committed protagonist in a psychiatric session being reminded of his dearly beloved better half that he never got to pop the question to, and was apparently guilty of pushing her to take the job on Ishimura.
Thank you.
For what?
For just pushing me to do this. I mean, if it weren't for you, I never would have made it this far, because you made me stick with it. You made me stick with it. You made me stick with it.
You made me stick with it.
After Isaac blacks out in the middle of his session, he suddenly wakes up in his opened cell by a seemingly nice guy trying to bust him out of there, but then...
You're in terrible danger.
Without his rescuer, Isaac has to escape alone through the ensuing chaos while wearing a straitjacket.
Isaac! Isaac Clarke, if you can hear me, run! Run!
Oh. Okay, not that way. While wearing a straitjacket until he comes across his psychiatrist, who has lost his will to live and is happy to end his life in opening Isaac's and then his own.
Isaac, we're all gonna burn for what we did to you.
Isaac was also given a flashlight to see where he is going in the dark, and while going down an elevator, Isaac gets a call from his passed-away rescuer's sister Dana, who promises to explain what the current situation is once Isaac reaches her.
My name is Dana. I'm the one trying to rescue you.
Why? What's going on?
You're suffering from a unique form of dementia, Isaac. Something you contracted on Aegis 7.
How do you know that? How do you know all this about me?
Your dementia will kill you. But if you can get here, I can treat you and get you to safety.
Why should I trust you?
Because I'm not the one shooting at you.
Fuck.
Just follow the route I'm sending you.
On the way there and trying to reach Dinah, Isaac has to avoid the necromorphs trying to kill him, which he does by picking up the kinesis module to throw spears, and also mods his flashlight into a plasma cutter, while this man dies as his distraction. A little too slow, Isaac. Now as an armed and dangerous escaped mental patient, Isaac runs into someone just like him, a character from the animated movie named Nolan Stross.
No. I remember. Patient 5. I'm patient 5, remember? Do you remember?
But from the two of them, Isaac is the more level-headed one, and chooses to ignore him as the door closes between them. With his way now blocked and the necromorphs ganging up on him, Isaac goes back to Dinah for a new route as he has no idea where to go or what is going on.
Okay, you're right. I do need your help. Talk to me.
Look, Isaac, we don't have to be friends. But like it or not, we're stuck together. Tideman's your enemy, not me. Alright, I found you a new route.
Fine. So where the hell am I? How did another necromorph outbreak get started?
You're on Titan Station orbiting Saturn. As for the outbreak... Shit! Tideman's jamming my signal!
Going into Dinah's next given direction, Isaac also starts getting hallucinations of Nicole, who is not happy to be dead. Getting closer to the hospital's exit, Isaac still has to survive almost getting sucked into a vacuum of space and... Perkele! Then he finally comes across a suit kiosk and decides to put on an EarthGov security suit as a proper disguise where no one will be able to tell he is an escaped mental patient. Now armed and armored, Isaac is ready to face anything coming at him. Well, who?
That thing was angry. Dana! I'm out of the hospital.
Okay, the tram station is just beyond the apartment block.
Hang on. I need more answers. How long have I been here?
3 years. Tideman found you floating in space near Aegis 7 and brought you here for study.
Why can't I remember anything?
The marker you found imbued your brain with self-replicating signal. The longer you're awake, the more the signal spreads. It's killing you, Isaac. I've been trying to keep it in check with memory suppressants.
You said you could fix it, right?
Only if you reach me in time. Tram station, get moving.
Dinah directs Isaac to head to the tram station next, where to get to, Isaac has to go through the apartment buildings and run through the necromorphs and the local civilians who didn't get the chance to evacuate the station hit by the outbreak. In the middle of that, Isaac also comes across his fellow patient Nolan, whom Isaac keeps trying to ignore not to blow his cover as a security guard. On the way there, Isaac asks Dinah how the outbreak happened.
There are necromorphs everywhere. Is the entire sprawl infected? How'd this happen? The marker was destroyed, Dana. I destroyed it.
You destroyed a marker, Isaac. Tideman built another one.
On this station? Why?
It's powerful alien technology. Tideman wants that power. Get to the tram. It'll take you to the Cassini Tower's premises.
Dana? Damn it.
For the full story of what happened, there was the mobile game no longer sold anywhere, where that game's main protagonist caused everything to happen. When Isaac reaches the tram station, he has to fix the train himself to get it moving, but of course uninvited passengers get on board and cause Isaac to make a sudden stop. Move, damn it! Move! At the part of the station that held the local elementary school and daycare that have also been hit by the necromorph infection. Luckily, Isaac already learned on the Ishimura how to deal with small children, so older children are just the next level for him to proceed to. Isaac's youth counselor skills invite Nolan to call him again and ask him to join his self-help group, but Isaac has only one direction, That then makes him regret not going after Nolan, as the Unitologist Church is the last place he would want to go after having been raised by one of them.
Dana, the Church of Unitology? Why here?
It's one of the few places on Titan Station that Tideman can't monitor. Separation of church and state.
No, Dana, we shouldn't be in here. This is the last place we want to be right now.
Isaac! My brother died trying to rescue you. This is important. This will work. I'm in a safe room at the top of the church. Meet me there, okay?
Through the route Dinah directs Isaac to go leads him through the conversion center, where Isaac has an episode with Nicole trying to kill him, or so he thinks. And then through a chapel where the stalker-type necromorphs are smart in how to hunt him. After dealing with the stalkers, Isaac goes down to the church's basement, where the passed-away Unitologist remains are preserved so that their bodies can ascend according to their religion, or in reality, turn into more necromorphs for Isaac to fight. Climbing out the crypt and high up to the church, Isaac has to face off against a large tripod necromorph and infected altar boys, before finally reaching Dinah and realizing too late why she asked him to come here.
Dana! You're a unitologist. Oh, of course you are. Why did I trust you?
Well, you didn't have a choice, Isaac. I told you there was a cure and you came running.
Why are you doing this? Why can't everyone just leave me alone, huh?
You're a dangerous secret, Isaac. EarthGov won't leave you alone because they're afraid you'll destroy their marker. After all, you did build it.
What are you talking about?
Well, that's why we brought you here. To build markers for us. To spread glorious convergence to the entire galaxy.
I miss Dr. Kine.
Unbelievable! Just give me the fucking cure and let me go.
Oh, we don't want to cure you, Isaac. We need that precious little head of yours just the way it is.
Before Isaac can be committed to these religious fanatics, a gunship looking for him as an escaped mental patient spots them, and since they are not allowed to enter the church legally, they enter by proxy. And by proxy, they shoot the windows to get them to come outside. Dinah and her fellow fanatics are pulled out while Isaac goes down the hatch where he faces the Tormentor necromorph, which he has to fight like a cutscene boss. Isaac shoots the glowy bits of the Tormentor, before he has to run away and into the line of fire of the gunship, making everyone go outside until Isaac manages to shoot himself back inside. Having lost his direction to go with Dinah's betrayal and death, Isaac gets another call from Nolan, who tells him about their support group being able to stop the madness by destroying the new marker they built at the station's government sector. Isaac is convinced to go meet up with Nolan after he tells they can do it with the required steps that Nolan can remember while Isaac cannot. As his cover as a security guard is blown now, Isaac changes into a more familiar, advanced engineering suit to fit his former profession, when a riot security suit would have been a better idea. Heading towards Nolan's location, Isaac comes across a live wall cysts, fires he has to put out by turning the room into a vacuum, more stalkers, and the first woman who is completely honest with him.
Look, I think we got off to a bad start here. I'm Isaac.
Ellie. What do you want, Isaac?
I'm trying to get to the transport hub. I need to get to the government sector.
What do you think we were trying to do?
Hey, I can help you. Besides, we got a better chance if we stick together. Don't you agree?
It's not a chance, Isaac. Other people are just a liability. I'll release the door lock. But after that, you're on your own. And please, don't follow me.
Ellie lets Isaac through the gate and to use the same elevator before they go their separate ways, which in Isaac's case leads him through the daycare/elementary school with exploding babies. In the makeshift playground, Isaac has an encounter with Nicole's hostile memory that keeps roasting him over her death, while Isaac tries to ignore it in trying to believe in Nolan's word in destroying the marker, making her appear to him. Out of the school, Isaac gets a call from Ellie using Nolan's phone, and likely due to depression and not wanting to be alone, Ellie is willing to lower her standards to hang out with two escaped mental patients as they meet up in the transport hub. There the director of the station, Hans Tiedemann, calls them to establish himself as the main antagonist of the rest of the game and cuts all the power to not let them pass to the government sector. The power outage causes more necromorphs, including the brute variant, to attack, which after dealing with, Isaac tells Ellie what she has gotten herself mixed up with.
Ellie, do you know what a marker is?
Yeah. The unitologist on my crew wouldn't shut up about it. Why? Is it real?
Yeah, it's real. Tiedemann made one using codes, patterns stored in our heads, mine and Strauss. Everything that's happening on this station is happening because of that marker. I have to get to it and destroy it, and I need Strauss to tell me how.
You're a strange man, Isaac.
Will you help me?
We're about to suffocate, so I think I'm better.
Okay, good. Listen, we need power. Without it, we have no air and no train. The Sprawl's gotta have backup batteries somewhere.
Yes. The solar array's up there. But they've been mothballed for years.
Okay, alright, good. I'm heading there now. If I can start them up and get some power to the train.
You'll need someone to open the collector panels. I can do that.
With the remaining air left on board, Isaac asks Ellie to look after Nolan while he takes the elevator up to the solar array to make the sun power their life support and means of going forward. On the way up there, Isaac has to fight multiple tripod necromorphs on the side of the elevator and a rogue AI Andy, who all make his job up there harder. Ultimately, Isaac is able to use the dead Watchman's remains to get through most of the defenses until he has to fight the AI along with the necromorphs until he can make his way to the realigning the solar panels. With the power back on, Isaac returns to Ellie and Nolan by doing a halo jump down to the transport hub, where Tiedemann blows up the trams and forces our heroes to retreat to the CEC factory.
I was right here this morning with a crew of 30 people. But we were overrun. And before I knew it, they transformed. I had to cut the arms and legs off my friends just to escape. I'm sure there's pieces of them still lying around here somewhere.
Ellie, I know. I'm sorry.
And here I am again. I've just walked one big fucking circle today.
Having entered the factory from different floors, Isaac has to take a detour to reach Ellie and Nolan, where he runs into Nico's ghost once more and has to go through the factory machinery because Tiedemann is a dick.
It ends here, Clarke.
It doesn't have to be this way, Tiedemann.
It does. And it is. Goodbye, Clarke.
By the time Isaac manages to reach them, he is welcomed by a pleased Ellie and a not uplifting sight of a troubled Nolan with little sanity left in him and on borrowed time to help him do anything. As they are in a hurry, Ellie suggests that they use the industrial transport to reach the government sector, which after Isaac deploys from the gear house, they board the tram and set off to witness...
God. It can't be. That's the Ishimura.
Yeah. Used to be the pride of the CEC. It's a sad story, actually. I heard everybody on board died. Some sort of terrorist attack.
What? Terrorist attack? What happened aboard that ship was no terrorist
Her
attack.
ponytails, it just...
What do you mean?
That's where all this started, Ellie. Everything that's happening here happened on that ship. I saw it. I was on board when it happened.
Here in the game we have a bump in the road that is just there to make the game longer than it needs to be. After getting through it and getting the tram back to moving again, Tiedemann cuts the tram in half and Isaac gets an idea to use the Ishimura's gravity tethers to realign the tracks again.
Isaac, no! This is a really bad idea.
Well, stick around. I'm full of bad ideas.
Back on the ghost ship where his madness began, Isaac has to relive his old nightmares at the engineering deck when going through the quarantine, and then after turning the gravity tethers back on when this happens. Returning back to exit the Ishimura, Ellie calls Isaac about Nolan losing it, and that the necromorphs are swarming into the ship through the medical deck.
Expected obstruction ahead. Shutting down. Welcome to the medical deck.
Crap.
At the medical deck where Isaac knows Nicole died, he has to face more of her ghost whisperings in his ear while fighting his way through the waves of necromorphs. Once Isaac gets through the medical deck and to the bridge, Isaac has another hallucination before reaching the captain's nest. Turning the gravity letters to Ellie's and Nolan's tram, Isaac set it back on its course to the government sector, to where he follows them with an escape pod.
We crossed the track, but we're coming in hot.
I just need you to see what I see, Ellie. I promise it won't hurt.
Just put down the screwdriver.
Trust, no!
The Ishimar is a great ship. I am so lucky to be serving aboard her.
Waking up from his crash landing, Isaac gets a call for help from Ellie, whom totally lost Nolan has now overpowered, and Isaac is powerless to help them as he is separated from them. Before heading to them, Isaac comes across the remains of the mobile game's protagonist, who confesses in her last words that the entire outbreak they are suffering from is her fault. Heading to Ellie and Nolan, Isaac is forced to change his damaged suit into a more old-fashioned vintage suit, before finding crazy Nolan with an eye on a screwdriver and a wide-eyed Ellie.
You owe me an eye, you bastard!
After that encounter, Isaac is thrown into space, and getting back inside, Nolan comes at him with his screwdriver, while the suit's helmet opens to make Isaac's face vulnerable.
Trust, it's me! See her! It's Isaac! Tell her! Trust! Step 3! Step 3! Oh god. Why did you do it, Strauss?
Isaac is not pleased with this outcome, but still respects Nolan for getting him this far and grants him with a Viking's funeral before moving on. Isaac is however able to recognize that Nolan was suffering from a similar ghost that he himself was with Nicole, so when encountered by her again, Isaac knows what to do and say.
Why do you keep fighting me? Why can't you let go? Because you are my everything. And if I let you go, I've got nothing left.
Step 4. Acceptance.
With that inner demon domesticated, Isaac finds the one-eyed Ellie and tells her that she has been avenged.
Finish fixing this.
Strauss is dead, Ellie.
Oh. I'm not sorry about that.
Yeah, neither am I.
So what happens now? I thought you needed Strauss to destroy the marker.
Strauss couldn't lead us to the marker. He was running away from his guild.
What about you?
I'm not running anymore. I know what I have to do.
With their next objective, Isaac helps Ellie fix a large drill that they can use to get through the mines they are in and ram through the walls of the government sector.
Looks like we reached the foundation pylons of the government sector.
So how do we get in there?
Straight ahead. We do have a giant drill.
You know, I'm right on top of this thing, right?
And the door was right there. Isaac could have just gotten into the big cockpit with her. That crazy idea works, but makes Isaac worry that his madness might be rubbing onto her, and he knows she has lost enough with her eye. When Ellie finds a gunship that she could fly to get them away from all this, Isaac decides to do what he feels is the right thing to do.
What are you doing?
Closing hatch.
Oh. Hey, Isaac, what are you doing?
Gunship command override confirmed.
Isaac! What are you doing? Open the door right now!
Emergency launch cycle initiated.
No!
Airlock sealed.
No! No! Don't you dare! Don't you dare launch the ship! Isaac!
It's your best chance, Ellie. You got life support, comms. Hey, you gotta be rescued.
You bastard.
I need you to be rescued. I couldn't save Nicole, but I can save you, Ellie. So, bye. I never wanted to let you go.
A lot happened that we never wanted. Isaac. Touch me.
I can't.
Alone against Tiedemann's forces, Isaac upgrades from his old-school vintage suit to a more advanced suit to face the government sector's security forces. By pulling the electric plug off the socket to turn off the security systems and sending swarms of necromorphs at the security forces who are just doing their jobs and obeying orders.
Sen kun töpselit irti vaan! Että mitä te teitte? Vedin töpselin irti.
Well, that's unfortunate. Getting through the staff-only area of the government sector, Nicole's friendly ghost appears to give Isaac a new waypoint to follow through to the now necromorph-infested marker building labs. This leads Isaac to the giant marker that he was used to build and has masses of necromorphs gathered around for a convergence event that Isaac can only prevent by doing what Nolan tried to explain to him.
Just like Strauss said. I remember this. The machine activates the parts of our brain where the marker codes are stored. But how does that threaten the marker? What were they afraid of?
Me. Us. Working together.
Step 4.
Yes. Are you ready?
This is gonna hurt, isn't it?
Yes. Step inside. Step 1. Crawl inside. Step 2. These screws so tight. All around. Cross my heart and hope to die. Stick a needle in your eye.
This is what Dead Space 2 has been most strongly remembered for, because getting that needle into Isaac's eye is so unbelievably stressful that I ended up failing and killing Isaac 3 times before finally succeeding on my 4th try. With the needle having probed Isaac's brain through his eye, he can now go to the marker, but then the pain of the first game shows up as the hunter has evolved into a more alien ubermorph that can still grow its limbs back as Isaac shoots them off. This makes the final stretch to the marker a desperate kujajuoksu as the ubermorph appears stalking Isaac in almost every room he goes through and has to wait or work in opening the next door. Come on, elevator! No! Please! Hurry up! On some luck, Isaac manages to lock the Ubermorph in one room before reaching the marker and has to face Tiedemann at its base in a button-mashing cutscene boss fight.
I won't let you throw all this away.
After defeating Tiedemann, Nicole surprises Isaac by taking the game's main antagonist title, and once again becomes hostile against Isaac.
Yours is the last body we need to be reborn. The Makers must be absorbed.
The Makers? You mean me? But Strauss said we could destroy the marker.
Not if we consume you first.
God damn it, I trusted you. Fuck you. And fuck the marker.
This leads to the final climactic battle inside Isaac's mind, where he has to literally fight to let go of his guilt over his girlfriend's death and destroy the marker in doing so. That was exhausting. Having won, but being in the middle of a crumbling space station, Isaac sits down ready to resign to his fate and get some peace.
You complete bastard! Was this your great plan? Dump me off and die?
Full of bad ideas, remember?
Yeah, well, here's another one. I'm crashing through the roof to get you. Now move your ass.
Wait, no, Ellie, it's too late. So clear of the station.
Yeah, well, you don't really have a say this time. Heads up.
But then Ellie, who worked as a pilot by the way, calls Isaac and tells him to get ready for some zero gravity. As she flies the gunship, Isaac sent her away through the roof and arrives to save Isaac in the game's final gameplay section in the middle of the end credits. After some button mashing, Isaac is rescued onto Ellie's spaceship, and they fly away to safety in a scene mirroring the ending of the first game.
What?
Going from the first game to the sequel was like oiling an already well-working machine. The gameplay was more fluid, new weapons worked well with the old ones, and the zero-G being upgraded from jumping around into being like flying around was a welcome change. The necromorph enemies were still balanced enough not to be too easy or too hard to defeat, but that difficulty spike did rise near the end of the game with the more advanced versions popping up. Story-wise, the game ended up downgrading itself a little when it became more linear than the first one without having any breaks between the chapters. And the chapters didn't have any titles of which first letters would have formed any messages like the other games did. First game, Nicole is dead. Extraction, Warren lies. The mobile game, he will betray. And spoilers for the third game, Brother Moons are awake. And RIP. The lack of breaks between chapters almost made the entire game also feel like it was just one long marathon. I don't know how long the first game was supposed to be in the in-story duration, but those breaks where Isaac entered and came out of the train made it feel longer in pacing than the second game did in its quick run through the Titan station. The characterization of some people Isaac came across in the game also felt poorly constructed, as we only saw of them what Isaac did when he interacted with them. For a complete understanding of Nolan Stross's madness, you would have also needed to watch the animated movie Dead Space Aftermath to see how he ended up committed to the Titan Station's mental hospital after the markers-induced madness caused him to kill his wife and son. Then there was Isaac's unfortunate rescuer Franco, who was the main character in the Dead Space Ignition action puzzle game that led to him releasing Isaac before his death. But with Dinah and Tiedemann, there was nothing to show them as anything else but a backstabbing villainess who betrayed Isaac's trust, and a bureaucrat who wanted Isaac dead for being a loose end in having built his marker. The way how the title of the main antagonist ended up getting taken over from Dinah to Tiedemann also felt a little too fluid and too linear in storytelling. The latter third of the game also felt too rushed in just getting from point A to point B, and the lack of real boss fights outside of cutscenes was also worth criticizing in the game's design. And I already said in the beginning of the video how I feel about Nicole being recast from Iari Limon to Tanya Clarke. Those few flaws did not make me want to replay the game again for some time, especially after the eye-poking machine and the Ubermods combined stress. Still, the horror experience worked as well as it did in the first game, with Isaac's madness being the dividing factor in making it actual horror or annoyings needed to get through. I still enjoyed the first 3 quarters of the game leading up to the government sector, and sometime in the future I will come back to do a New Game Plus. And the next recap review will be on Alan Wake, so while you wait for that, remember to like this video, comment your thoughts on Dead Space 2 down below, share this video for other people to see, and subscribe or stay subscribed to be aware of when other videos I have planned to do come next. Also, ding the bell for a chance to be in the audience when I do another gameplay stream to get some footage for future recap reviews, and may your heart be your guiding key.